Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King. And today I'm gonna be giving you part 4 of What If Naruto Was an Elite Blue Uchiha. Remember to get this one to 100 like as usual. Share this to all of your friends in social media platform. And also, stay in tune for the rest of what is coming your way over on Anime King 2 and Anime King 3, which I do hope that you guys will enjoy. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time hearing my voice, yes, I have 3 channels. Links are down in the description for the other 2, for you guys to enjoy over Anime King 2 and Anime King 3. And remember, if you're new, to go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be replying talking back to all of you. So yeah, without further ado, what do you say begin this new episode? Start the intro. So, the last spot we left off, as Naruto was still with Orochimaru, as she was thinking about, how he was born. Itachi was currently hunting wild bulls, as Naruto had placed a launcher on his arm to teach the boy his style, as Orochimaru was thinking about the past, when Tsunade had dragged her to a party that Sakamoto was keeping right after the war. She was rather, to herself, so most people didn't really come over to her and socialize that much. But that is where she met Naruto's father, as she had glanced towards the man and saw him, and he looked at her at the same time. That led the both of them, going down the hallway while she was trying to leave, but he followed her. She was a bit tipsy from all the alcohol, and things escalated from that point. That was her first time being with a man, in sexual terms, as she was going to ask him, they can do it again if they like, but she didn't want to be in a relationship. But the man started to blow her off, so she just cut that and she didn't really care about him. But she then found out that she was pregnant. She wanted to terminate the pregnancy, but just to get back at him, she was going to keep it at first. But after the time passed, she realized that she, was thinking about raising her baby, as she created a blood clone to do most of her work, while she took care of her baby as the months passed. Using her privilege as Sanin, she did not go on any missions. But then, when it was finally time to have the baby boy that she was happy to have now, no longer using him to get back at Naruto's father. He died. Yes, the baby died. She was snapped from her thoughts when Naruto came over, as he told her. She didn't like the way he was talking, like he was actually gonna get killed or something, as she would do anything to protect her son. But that is why he was teaching, Itachi his style. If the boy wanted to grow up and become a, sniper as well, or if he wanted to take on his genjutsu art, Naruto didn't mind, as long as the boy was happy. With that, they headed back to Konoha, as they were instantly surrounded by Anvu. Itachi was taken away from Naruto, as they also want his weapons, but Naruto wouldn't give them that. Minato didn't arrive. As he looked at Naruto, he said if it was, not for Kushina, Naruto would be in a cell right now. He did not understand why Kushina cared about him so much. But he was lucky. But he took away Naruto's status as a ninja and turned him into a civilian, till further notice, as he was trying to act all big, still trying to provoke Naruto to hate him. But Naruto kept himself calm, as Itachi wanted to intervene as he was angry at the Hokage. But Naruto told him to calm down, as Itachi would not get to him. Yujiro felt rather bad, as she wanted to talk to him, but this was not the right time. Despite that, Naruto still went to the party, as he saw Kushina, his first crush. She missed him as she hugged him. There was a reason why Minato hated Naruto that much, and it was different from the launchers, as Kushina was worried about Naruto's well-being, the fact that he was sleeping with so much girls. She also seemed kind of jealous as well. Kurenai, Shizune, Uncle, as she told him to give her his protections. So he wouldn't be doing anything tonight. But he told her he wanted to blow off some steam. And he told her he wanted to get over her. That hurt her. Her husband wasn't bad or anything, but Minato was just formal. Everything, the same pace. And Naruto stopped coming around really hurt her badly. And Minato not being there, and she being in her own house, it gave her time to think. Think about a lot of things. As Naruto held on to her, she tried to pat him down. And for some reason, she didn't want to leave his embrace. As she just stayed there and let him hold on to her. As she really might care about him, more than even she thought. So yeah guys, so basically that's what I thought. You guys can switch across the place and check it out for yourself. So this will be in this new episode. Naruto looked down at Kushina as he held on to her. Despite hearing everything, despite the things that Minato have told her about him, her faith in him did not shake at all. She did not want to believe that he was an A-class threat. Was her friendship in him so solid that she would even think of that? Or was it more than that? Her offer to stay over didn't sound so bad right now. He heard footsteps as he quickly removed his arm from her as the door in front of them opened up. Kurenai opened the door as she spotted Blue. She smiled and waved. "Hi Naruto," she said, as he nodded back to her. "Hey, don't worry about it," said Naruto. He really didn't want people pitying him for losing his job. As Kushina was rubbing her nose, calming herself from her earlier blush. As Kurenai turned towards her, "We're running out of food." Chosa and the other guys thought it was a good idea to have an eating contest. Well, perfect timing," said Kushina. As she picked up the cooler, she knew that the storage seal inside packed a large amount. Blue made some grill, boar, hot pot. As she walked inside, as she was now angry, she made an entire feast. She made everything look pleasant, and they went and have an eating contest. She was ready to murder all of them that took part. "I'll go set it up," she said. Surprised that Kushina was taking it so lightly, Kurenai opened the door wider for Naruto to step in. The moment he entered though, the conversations all died down as everyone glanced towards him. As Naruto sighed, "Let's get this night over with," he said. Time skip. Not many of them knew this, but Naruto was rich. Rich enough to, well, being a ninja, it was just a hobby. But that was not the thing that pissed him off. It was his title. Losing his ninja way that Minato, especially of all people him, Minato took from him. And his sister berating him for it did not really help at all. "How could you be so irresponsible?" she snapped. As he was barely paying attention to her, as he sipped the glass of water, as his back leaned up against the wall. "The Hokage has given you all the freedom you ever wanted, and you're paying him by disobeying order. You should be lucky he didn't execute you on the spot." She was half a head shorter than him, but with the way she was being rather vocal and loud, she might have been a large, intimidating figure looming down on him. As she flapped her arms around right in front of him, trying to get some reaction, as she shouted, "What are you gonna do now? How are you gonna pay your bills? How are you gonna buy food or clothes? How? Huh? Naruto, how?" she said. As Naruto rolled his eyes looking past her. And she exploded. "Don't you dare roll your eyes at me, Naruto," she said. "You're the one at fault here. I swear, you put Itachi in danger. It's like every time I hear your name, you're in some kind of trouble. All I ever do is worry." The two siblings were at the back of the hall, as Kushina had created clones to buy some more food after the eating contest. The hall was about half of a training field, with the table over to the side of the food to the other side, with a chandelier painted on the wall, a fireplace, and some crystal statues of the nine-tailed fox. As Naruto Blue Eyes looked over the people that were walking around, chatting quietly, as most of them were sending quick glances at them, as he caught Uchiha looking over as well, as she wanted to pull Blue away from his sister without pissing off the Uchiha woman, as he didn't deserve all of this cursing out. "Hey, are you even listening to me?" Mikoto said. "Remember when we were kids, and we would get into fight over everything? Anything went back then." As Naruto would literally kick her away, she would punch him right in the face, He would bite her in the arm. She would chase him around with deadly sharp scissors, and so on. Being 5 years older than him, it didn't really change anything back there. He would still fight back. And things were not much different right now. Well, they were not going into fighting contests again. Just because she was older, she felt like it was her duty to impose her will on him. She really hated how different her brother was. She really hated it. Even if you were the one that started the fight, father would always take your side. He wouldn't even give me a chance to defend myself. His eyes lowered towards her. You are always that little princess. Daddy's little angel, he said. As flashbacks went through his mind of her father praising her for executing the fireball and burning his wardrobe. Yes, Blue's wardrobe. Hamato didn't really care as he watches his daughter break Naruto launchers, stepped on them, hard work, blood and sweat, as she broke them and laughed. You want to know why I put all of that behind me, said Naruto. No, she said, and frankly I don't really care. I put it all behind me, said Naruto, because I knew that you were jealous of me. What? If I'm anything, little brother, I'm not jealous. Lord Third called me a genius. A dark look washed over her face. He was mistaken, she said. Ah, sweet denial. You're like a children's book, sis. You're way too easy to read. He only said that because of your fancy launchers. You're nothing special, little brother. If you paid attention, you would see I was putting nothing towards a title. Him calling me a genius meant nothing for our clan. I still had to prove my worth, like everyone else. I neither got or wanted any special treatment. You should know this, your existence was pain. Despite all of this, I thought you grew out of your petty jealousy, and we had sibling loyalty. If you have something to say, then say it, she said. You told me not to, I'm going for therapy. Why? Said Naruto. He needed to know, she said. You are a threat to yourself and to us, she fired back, no hesitation, no remorse. He needed to know of your fragile state, or, one day, when you flip out and endanger everyone's life, everyone will be caught off guard. He rubbed his forehead. Are you even listening to this shit? You're disputing right now. Do you know how stupid you sound? I did it for the good of your clan, and for your sake as well. Can I also presume that you're the one that persuaded Minato to make me a Class A threat? No, that was his decision. Really now, said Naruto. Yes, I only wanted him to put a few eyes on you. No one from our clan was willing to do it. None of them were willing to get involved anyway. But I never knew that you would get our friends involved. My question is, who told you? I was tipped off. That's not the answer to my question, Blue, she said. I'm not going to tell you anything, Mikoto. You will run and tell Minato, and I've already have a headache for 1 week already. But let me tell you this, his voice became low and dark. What you did behind my back makes you a blood traitor. For a split second, worry entered her eyes as she looked around to make sure no one heard what he said. Before she turned back to him, pissed off. As Naruto lifted his hand, yo, guy, he said. As he glanced back towards his sister, Maiko said that she's not feeling too youthful tonight. The old hallway sigh. Why did he have to say that? Guy sprinted over as Naruto moved. Lady Mikoto, do not think so badly of yourself. To think that your youthfulness can be dim. I swear, he said as he placed his hand on his chest, your youthfulness is utilized in the hall. Even a man like myself has to step back from your bright, youthful shine. As he stumbled back and blocked his eyes with his hand. Mimicking what someone would do if they look at the sun. I assure you, someone of your youthful status cannot be unyouthful on such a youthful night. Especially in this youthful hour, he said. Mikoto searched for someone to save her, but everyone looked away as they laughed. As Naruto walked away as well. As Fukaku was standing near one of the statues. As Naruto passed him, how's the arm, he said. Flashback, a 19-year-old Blue caught Fukaku's arm. As a look of anguish came on the man's face. As Naruto pulled and twisted, Mikoto screamed out for her brother to stop. As Naruto twisted even more, snapping the bone. As Fukaku hauled out in agony. In the flashback, as Fukaku glared at Naruto, as he remembered the 2 places of his arm that were broken that day. They had left Itachi in the forest of death. with a kunai and a box of matches. When Naruto came back home with Itachi furious, and Fukaku thought Naruto should get out of his face, so he tried to strike Naruto away. So Naruto put him in his place. Itachi had abandonment issue, and Naruto warned her never to put Itachi in that situation again. Back to what he told her before he left her to Guy Mercy, blood traitor. It meant exactly that. A traitor to the family, a traitor to the clan. Most clans had a different word for a blood traitor, like the Hyugas call them sightless, and the Aburame call them maggots. The Uchiha stuck to the ancient name, blood traitors. Blood traitors are those that leak secret or individual members to outsiders in the clan, whether for profit, scorn, or loyal to the village. The Uchiha clan weren't loyal to the village in first place. They were loyal to themselves first, before anyone else. Yes, that was the universal truth. If a children betray the clan somehow, it was their parents who would be responsible. And it wouldn't be so bad, because they did not teach the children well. But if an adult betrayed their blood, their eyes would be gouged out, their chakra would be sealed, their clothing stripped away. A collar would be placed on their neck as they were carried through the clan, while the older members would slash them with belts. The younger kids will throw mud, gobble at them. Once they go through this twice in the compound, they were left on the outside world alone. The person that they betrayed had the authority to say where they were supposed to be left in the forest of death in midnight, or in the middle of the village, still unclothed, naked. If it was a clan that was betrayed, then the clan head decide where the person was supposed to be left. Saying that it was Blue that was betrayed, he could decide what to happen to Mikoto. That is if he informed the clan heads of her treachery. To make sure he was aligned as special, Sharingan Genjutsu would be used to find out the truth. And if he was lying, he would get the worst punishment, saying that trying to fake a punishment on someone would, in turn, you being a blood traitor. The punishment might have seemed severe and old-fashioned, but that was the Uchiha way, and gender in this meant absolutely nothing, as the Uchihas always kept things to themselves. If there was an internal quarrel, they will deal with that inside the village. They always kept things to themselves inside their own clan, never letting it spill out, never bringing in anyone else. And the Hokage couldn't get involved because of the pact that the Uchihas signed with the village. And the Uchihas didn't respect authority that much. What they respect was power, raw power. As Naruto said it before, it didn't matter if Hiruzen had called him a genius. He had to fight for everything that he gained in that clan same way. News of him losing his status as a ninja had spread all over, but that didn't matter in his clan. He might not have authority, but he had power. Ninja or not, he earned his way in the clan. That is why even if you didn't get his way off a sniper, they simply pass by or just leave him, because they respected his power. And with him snapping the clan head's arm, that just gave him the icing on the cake. Yes, the clan heads had raised their voice at his action, but with time they had simmered down. Fukaku wasn't genuine strength. He was a full adult grown man, and he was a clan head. And for Blue to easily snap his arm in two places, show that Blue was stronger than the current clan head. That is why it didn't matter what Mikoto said, no Uchiha would directly spy on him. He was a respected clan member and a war veteran, and most of them kept their distance. Even the elders didn't try anything. Being the clan head wife didn't stop her from getting the same punishment. It only meant that she could argue her case for a bit longer, but a blood traitor was completely different. Once they find out that she did it, well, her punishment would be started. Sooner or later, he expected she to come to him, on her knees begging him to not report her to the clan elders for her betrayal. He stopped by the table as he poured himself a glass of cold water, as he scanned the cup with his Sharingan, to make sure there was no poison inside, as he didn't trust anyone here anymore. These so-called friends, as Orochimaru had said. As he went over towards a painting, most of them paused when he walked past Kakashi, Tenzu, Shikaku, and Choza. Their eyes followed him as he looked at the painting, a tiger balancing on a thin tree branch over a large lake of water. Beneath that, the tiger reflection was switched when it comes to water, as it looked more vicious and deadly, calm above the surface, deadly below. He didn't turn away from the painting as his therapist came beside him holding a wine glass in his hand and placed his hand in his lower back. I got that piece for Lady Kushina when I went to Iron Country with my wife, Aitia. He reminded Naruto the name of his wife, like Naruto would forget as Naruto rolled his eyes. Inoichi simply continued. For a flower arranging class that was taking place in the historical village of Mori, Aitia wanted us to open a flower shop, you see. Blue nodded, half listening to his speech and half, paying attention to the people in the hall, as all of them were trying like they were not staring at him. Yes, they were trying their best, trying to stay with their conversation, but they were still looking at them. After talking about his painting, Inoichi spoke. I can recommend you an exceptional therapist for my clan. As Naruto quirked up an eyebrow at that. Why? I assume that your trust for me has reduced, and trusting your therapist is a vital part of your recovery process. He sighed as he shrugged. Too bad though. You were a rather exceptional patient, he said. Naruto smirked a bit at the last comment. He didn't want to think of himself as anything really special. There were dozen other ninjas that were being treated in Konoha psych ward from the scars of the war. He was just one person among many. The thing was, when Naruto came there, he always brought something, muffins, cake, as everyone to get a piece. And also he was more open, as he wanted to get all of this healing process over quickly. And he became more open, telling him exactly everything that happened. Inoichi had a, easier time with him and could help him better. I'm not going to replace you, Inoichi. I know that it was my sister that told Minato. Besides, I think I'm making some real progress. You really are, Blue. You've done a lot of bad things, and a lot of bad things that happened to you. But that doesn't make you a bad person. That makes you a careful one. And it certainly doesn't make you crazy or a threat at all. Inoichi finished his wine. I told the Hokage this. Well, at least I tried to. But he already had his mind set. And I wasn't able to participate in the council for your civilians. He glanced towards Blue. Not that I would have, of course. You have an incredibly complex mind, Blue. That is what I've been able to gather from all of our sessions. As Naruto turned his head slightly. What do you mean? Take your situation now. You immediately know that it was your sister that revealed our sessions to Minato, instead of trusting in your own family and assuming that I was the one. I can guess that your mind ran through the possibilities and thought about my doctor-patient confidentiality and why it would be rather difficult and rather arrogant of me to betray you, while your sister has less restriction to keep it a secret. You're smart enough to know that your sister hates you, but yet, you still told her. Call it a moment of naivete, said Naruto. Inoichi waited for him to continue, but he did not. Naruto, he said, calling him by his name. I hope you don't misunderstand what I'm about to say, and I hope you don't think of me as an enemy. As he fully turned towards Naruto, looking straight at him. I cannot turn on my village, he said. Naruto laughed a bit, but his laughter had no humor in it. I'm not asking you to, he said, as he placed a hand on the clan head's shoulder, as he kept direct eye contact. Between me and Minato, don't oppose your Hokage. You have your clan, your position in the village, your wife. Unlike me, you have too much to lose. Thank you for understanding, said Inoichi. I'll send you the contact information for that therapist I'm recommending later. No need to rush, said Naruto, as Inoichi would not open his file for Minato to read. But if there was a dispute between him and the village, he would have to take Minato's side. Blue could understand that Inoichi had a life that he, didn't want to compromise for his sake. The only person he worried about was Itachi, but he was sure he was going to give the boy all the necessary tools, just in case. Kushina also came to mind, but those thoughts were rather confusing when it comes to her. He needed to know if she was truly oblivious to the order that Minato had made, barely 6 months after the end of the Third War, to make him a Class A threat. As Naruto removed his hand from Inoichi's shoulder. So, anything new happening with you? Oh yes, said Inoichi. Me and Aitio are going for a baby. If it's a boy, we're gonna call him Inojin. If it's a girl, we're gonna call her Ino. Blue chuckled this time. You could hear the sincerity. The baby isn't even there yet, and you guys already have names. Well, we planned the flower shop, and us not taking missions anymore. We have a lot of time to spend together. One thing led to another, and we started to draw out names. One thing I don't get is your fixation with the letter I, said Naruto. Well, it's a running gag that went on for too long. ITU and I tried to come up with other names, but I, with Ino in it, sounded much better. You two really are soulmates, said Naruto as he raised his glass of water, as Inoichi clicked his empty wine glass against it. I'm glad you found her, or that she found you, whichever it is. The therapist raised the eyebrow and confused. I thought you didn't believe in soulmates, he asked. As Naruto turned his head back to the painting, oh, I don't. I'm just humoring you too, he said. Naruto grunted as the body slammed into his own. As she swung her arm on his shoulder, she had to tip to do so because he was taller. Anko, in a fishnet bodysuit, orange cloak, and also orange mini skirt. What's up, horsey? She said. Come on, this party is boring. There's this nightclub I want to show you. Titties, lap dance, and dango. The perfect combination. Naruto beside his head. No, he said. If people weren't looking then, they were looking now. As at how shameless Uncle was being, and Naruto was keeping himself quite restrained. You're drunk, said Naruto, as Uncle was holding a large jug of rice wine. Just a little horse, she said. Don't worry, I can hold my liquor, she said. If he was to move away, she would clatter down to the ground, as she was rather unsteady on her feet. As she kept on mumbling nonsense as Naruto looked over his shoulder. Kurnai, he said. Kurnai sighed. She was just about to bite into the hot boar pot, as she was just going to ignore that for the moment. She placed it down as she made her way over. Yeah, I got her, said Kurnai. Come on, Uncle, she said. Let's get you some water. No, Uncle said. She held out to Blue. I want to ride horsey. Knowing how to deal with that drunk uncle, she slipped her hand around her waist. Yeah, me too. We'll get him later, okay? Shh, as she ran her hand in her ear. We'll get him later. As she was glad that Osama was too far away to hear her. As Kushina joined them as they steadily walked the girl to the kitchen. Conflicted, Yujiro didn't know what to do. To see if Uncle was okay, or to go over to Blue, seeing that he was now alone. Her decision was made for her when Shino, Shibi Abermi's wife, held her by the arm and pulled her in the kitchen. Inoichi looked towards Naruto, as his face could barely contain laughter. Horsey? What does that even mean? It's a fun little name she called me, said Naruto, as he wasn't going to say why exactly Uncle called him Horsey. But understanding smashed right into Inoichi. Oh, he said. Don't even start, said Naruto. As Naruto felt the eyes kept on staring at him, he turned towards Inoichi. I have to ask Inoichi, what did Minato say to make him think I've lost my mind? The others were all focusing on Inoichi now, as he heard what Naruto said. As they want to hear how he was going to react to the question. I am not yet authorized to tell you, Inoichi said, as his grip around the glass tightened till it started to creak a bit. I will find out, one way or another. Kushina might not know, but he did know someone with a bit of a nudge. They would tell him everything, just like when they were kids. He was just giving her time to gather her thoughts and her courage before she approached him. Calmly, he walked out of the main room as he went to the bathroom. As Shikaku approached Inoichi, troublesome, he said, what were you two talking about? Inoichi looked down the throne as he felt disappointment once again, not being able to go against the Hokage, as this was driving Naruto up the wall. And he couldn't even tell Naruto why. As he turned toward Shikaku, nothing, don't worry about it. Troublesome. At the same time at the Hokage's office, Minato, as most knew, well, they might not, but he really didn't like Naruto that much. Blue was his rival. It wasn't a one-sided rival that Guy had with Kakashi, or the rival that Madara had with Hoshirama, until it ended at the Valley of the End. Minato was sure that Naruto didn't even know, or wasn't even aware of their rivalry, or he didn't even think much of it. And that just pissed off Minato even more, as he remembered when he first noticed Naruto's existence. Back then, it was early in the morning. Jiraiya had gotten permission from the academy teacher to excuse him from the class, almost as soon as their sensei started teaching. Flashback, 14 years ago. What are we doing here, sensei? Asked Minato, as they were crouching down in a bush. As Minato spotted two kids over to the side. He was currently 12 years old, and at the moment Naruto was currently 7. He turned towards his sensei. "You're spying on kids now?" "Of course not," said Jiraiya. "Then why are we hiding here? We look like perverts, and aren't they supposed to be in school?" In times of war, the village needed all the ninjas they could get, so the fee for children for school were dropped, and school was made free. As the two kids did look familiar too. One of them wore jean overalls and a dark orange shirt underneath. The kid had purple hair that was tucked into a black baseball cap, as a few of the strands poked through the side. The child also had on a pair of worn-out sandals. Minato made the mistake of thinking that was a, boy, because she didn't act like a girl at all, and she had boy's features, and she also dressed like a boy as well. She was lying on her back as she had her school bag under her head, using it as a cushion. Her eyes were closed, enjoying the peaceful wind, as she took up half of the bench, while the other one, he was turned inside so they could see inside his face. He had blue eyes, deeper shade than Minato's. He also had a blonde streak running through his black hair that was brighter than Minato's, as he had a drawing pad with his school bag next to him. He was wearing a white t-shirt. They couldn't see the Uchiha stamp on his back because he was facing the other way, but they saw the clan symbol on his left chest, so he was a Uchiha. Black shorts and sandals, and he was also holding on to a pair of red gloves as he placed them in his lap. He wasn't looking up, so that meant he wasn't drawing his surroundings. Minato was curious what he was drawing. "They're skipping school," said Minato. "They look like they didn't have a care in the world. If their teacher reprimanded them, it wouldn't even matter to them. It really looked that way. You want us to retrieve them and take them back to school." Also not aware that Uchiha was a girl, Jiraiya spoke, that one, with the cap. "He's a sword prodigy. He's already surpassed his teachers, but that is not why I brought you here. The one he's with, the Uchiha, his classmates call him Blue, and he's a genius." Minato was surprised. Children that were skipping class were known as genius. Smart kids stay in school and enjoy their time, and show off their genius to the entire place, not skip school. After all, that is what he was doing. He was a prodigy, after all. The purple-haired child turned on her side. "Naru, I'm hungry," she said. He nudges back to her. "You can have a bento from my bag." She hesitated, not sure if she could take his hospitality. "Are you sure?" "What are you gonna eat?" she said. "I knew that you weren't gonna bring lunch, so I bought 2 bentos," he said. As he knew that his big sister, R, his father, was not gonna prepare lunch for him. But she did not move. "It's fine, really. Didn't you say you ran out of money? You're broke too, you know." "That's not the point," she said. What if you want more? And I already eat your other bento, and you get hungry once again? Then I'll drink lots of water. Sensei said that if food is not enough, we can drink lots of water. I'll fill up on that." Minato was more than confused at this point. How in the hell was that one a genius? Genius and prodigy. When he thought of that, the first thing that came to his mind was Sakamo Hatake. And although the man was dead, he truly deserved his moniker, the White Fan. They were sword prodigies, genjutsu prodigies. But before Orochimaru's Hanin, there was only 2 recorded genius, and that was the second Hokage and Madara Uchiha, and the both of them were dead. And though referred to as a professor, the second Hokage was not born a genius. Over the years, he became a genius, and that alone in itself was a difficult feat. That boy Blue invented a weapon that can take out multiple targets from over 500 kilometers away, said Jiraiya as he looked over to the boy. And that weapon is still a prototype. He has told Sarutobi Sensei that in time, he will improve the weapon distance. He plans to increase it to take out targets from over 1,000 kilometers away. "I can name 10 jutsu that can do that," said Minato. "Can any of those jutsus kill multiple targets silently?" Minato remained silent at that. Does those jutsus leave behind a chakra signature? As Minato didn't know what to say. Do those jutsus take much of your chakra? Do those jutsus of yours affect the terrain? Minato could not respond. Any jutsu that could attack from 1,000 kilometers away. Of course it would reshape the earth, one way or another. The only real change in terrain after Blue fire off was the blood that came from his target when he dropped. That's it. The Uchiha boy weapon, crystalline, can do all of that. "No," said Minato as he shook his head. "Not even a Nara. Someone that's supposed to be smart in his class didn't pose this kind of challenge for him. I can't believe that. Really? Remember last week when that Uzumaki girl was kidnapped? During the Kumo and Stone combination ruse. That was a single action that sparked the third great shinobi war, and it happened a week ago. Yes, like it was an ordinary Thursday, and everything went straight to hell. Hundreds of shinobi stormed Konoha walls, hundreds of Leaf citizens lost their life. And one thing happened was that Kushina Uzumaki was taken from her home in the Senju compound, as she was a holder of the 90th Vox. Minato was assigned to take care of the security seals on the wall. But as soon as he heard Kushina cursing, he gave chase. As the Keibi Jinjulki, she was the village's precious asset, so he had to get her back safely. During his chase, he passed by a few of the Kumo ninjas dead, needles stuck in their skull. But he was the one that shredded through the Kumo ninja's body that was holding on to Kushina with an unfinished Rasengan, and he caught her, and the rest was history. The question of who killed the others lingered in his mind. He spun around to Jiraiya. No, it can't be him. Jiraiya simply nodded. But the trees, the forest, it was too dense. Weapon or not, that couldn't have been him. I would have sensed him. He was on the roof of the Hokage's tower, exactly 400 kilometers from where you were. And he found a way to ricochet the needles against rocks, trees, if you can believe it. I know, I wouldn't have believed it either, he said as he saw me not look, if I hadn't seen it for myself. He might be taking credit for someone else's kill, said Minato. Did you not hear me? I said I saw it, said Jiraiya. When I was defending Konoha, East Gate, Sarutobi Sensei called me to the roof of the tower. Orochimaru and Tsunade were there. He said that it was to witness the Uchiha boy genius. And I saw it for myself what he did. 17 Kumo ninjas, a mix of Jonin and Chonins, were brought down by the 7-year-old boy. For him to do something like that, Minato thought, he had to give the Kumo ninjas no time to recover. No, impossible, he said. The skills that was needed for that, the calculation, hadn't been seen in someone since the Lady Sanin. The sneaky Lady Sanin. But she was focused on science and calculation when it came to experiments and all different things. So this was rather impossible. Minato didn't believe it. How could that even be possible? You can't expect me to believe that even if you say that you were there. He's just a kid, said Minato. Jiraiya saw it in Minato's eyes, buried under disbelief. Envy. For the Hokage to speak so highly of someone much younger than himself when you haven't even seen Minato in action yet. You best not underestimate him. He's much smarter than his age. He rebelled on instinct though. Makes me wonder what his situation is at home. Still, I feel like Sarutobi Sensei is giving him too much freedom. Freedom? What do you mean, said Minato. The boy isn't respectful to him. He let the Uchiha boy get away with anything. On the contrary, Hiruzen might be the only person that Blue respected. He's heading out to the field next year. His skills would be needed in the war effort. Him staying here would be a waste. Minato could see the benefit of that, him taking out enemy's commander in their own camps. But I haven't been deployed yet, and he's my junior, said Minato. It can't be helped. Worst part is, that kid with him, the one with the katana, is gonna be his teammate. A 2-man cell with no team sensei. Before anyone else can be added, they need to be able to not slow them down. And the person that you really want to add is not ready. Kakashi Hatake, said Jiraiya. The boy was still reeling from his father's suicide. So they need someone that will not slow the team down. What if I steal that weapon and master it for myself? Will I surpass Blue? Said Minato. Jiraiya blinked at the dark tone in Minato's voice. As terrible as that sounds, Minato, the Uchiha has shown that he is not going to part way with his weapon. I don't know why Sarutobi Sensei won't just order him to hand it over. Mass producing that weapon would help us win the war. Isn't that betraying the Leaf? So he doesn't want to protect his own home, said Minato, as he was just mustering up a reason to hate Blue. And why do they call him Blue anyway? Is it because of his eyes? I have blue eyes as well. As the envy and hatred was growing deep and festering inside Minato. As a teacher, he should quell the boy's jealousy, but he did not. That toxic feeling would make him stronger. It will boost his determination. You better step up your game, kid, said Jiraiya. When the both of them looked up, as they saw Blue looking directly at them, his two totem Sharingan activated, as he identified them as Jiraiya, the Sanin, and Minato Namikaze. cushion a supposed crush. He dropped his pencil and raised his finger as he pointed right towards Minato. Bam, he said. End of flashback. Until the end of the war, Blue had something that no other single person had. Not since Madara Uchiha defected. The respect of the Uchiha clan. Not even the clan head or the clan elders had the complete respect of their clan mates. And the other reason why Minato hated Blue so much was because he felt threatened by him. Yes, people fear Minato, but they also fear Blue more than him. Minato had gave Tenzo the order to not let Blue leave. But just with one look, he was able to make Tenzo and the entire Anbu team back off. If he wasn't there, they could not stop him. When he came back in the village, he gave him that order that he wasn't going to become a shinobi anymore. And Minato hated that. But they all knew that Blue stopped being human when he was pissed off. And that was another thing that pissed Minato off to no end. Time skip. One of the main reasons why people said that he stopped being human when he was pissed off, as it happened 5 years ago. Flashback. Blue had a meeting with a contact within Kumo that the man was bolstering his ranks. An information that Jiraiya had gotten, so Blue decided to find out if it was real. He did not divulge the name of his contact or anything because his contact did not like the collaboration between Kumo and the stone and the ambush that they had in Konoha. Residents that weren't part of a ninja force had enjoyed the amount of income, the boom in economy that you're receiving. The man didn't like how the Raikage chose gathering Kekkei users over his own people. Kumo was already a wealthy place before the war, but funding this war was already straining them thin. Blue had just turned 16 a handful of weeks ago, and he'd just been given a field promotion, the tuning rank, a few days back. His contact was at the same rank as him, and they were inside the Raikage circle, so they always have something to report back. It took Blue a few days to convince his Kumo informant that what they were not doing was betraying their village. They were not doing that. They were encouraging the world to come to a truce, to end this war. Blue didn't enjoy killing people, but he had to do it to prevent hundreds, thousands of life from being lost. And his contact in Kumo just wanted to end to the useless bloodshed. And both him and his contact share the same mentality to end this war. And that is what they want to do. Blue had requested Uchiha come with him, and the third assigned Yamato as well. They were in the hot water gambling town of Ziki, 7 p.m. The three Yakuza kept the fighting out of Ziki, outlawing it in here. So everything at the moment was rather calm in Ziki. And also, no one was supposed to be retrieved, or if an enemy was here, and two enemies they weren't supposed to fight. So some people had fled to Ziki, and the numbers were getting rather large, as they saw the gambling town as their last resort. So, the three Yakuza make a rule. If you are fleeing and hiding, you will have to become a member of the Yakuzas. Yes, gender, age, it didn't matter. Any member that tried to desert, it was taken very seriously. Because once you become a part of the Yakuza, they would fight and die for you. But you would be a member for life, and you will also have to fight and die for them as well. For Blue, Uchiha and Tenzo, they were allowed inside. But seeing that they weren't gonna join the Yakuzas or anything, they were allowed a time of 4 hours, given that everyone wanted to pack inside right now for safety. As they were standing outside of a nightclub, the music was booming inside. As Tenzo was in green shirt, a dull green shirt, with forest green pants and black sandals. Uchiha was wearing a short sleeve purple shirt, and a pair of tight shorts that just hardly made it her upper thigh. She was also wearing black and purple knee socks. Her hair was tied up in a ponytail, and a pair of cat ears was on her head. As Naruto was wearing a long sleeve dark shirt, dark pants, shinobi sandals, and his red gloves. As he looked like a hired kill for the Yakuza, a young one, but the world was rather crazy, so well no one could tell. Are you sure your contact said that he will meet you here? Hearing the tension in Yamato's voice, Naruto spoke. Never been to a nightclub before, have you? And you have? Tenzo asked. You've been at the front for as long as I've known you. When do you have the time to go partying? Believe it or not, he said in a hushed voice. Some of my targets love to hide in nightclubs. The music isn't half bad either, he said. A large man stood in front of them. There are Kumo ninjas in there, he said. We're not here for them, said Naruto. Don't make any trouble, the man said, as he grasped onto the club in his hand. Come on, you know me. I don't make trouble. Trouble makes me, said Naruto. Ain't that the truth, the man said, as his left hand moved towards Blue, and Blue did it as well, as the both of them shook hands, as Naruto slipped him a 1000 Ryu note. Tenzo did not notice what happened, but Uchiha saw it. As she smirked as she saw the man held onto the note in his palm, he stepped aside and opened the bright red door. Now get in there, you crazy kids, he said. I'll catch you later, man, said Naruto. I'll hold you to that, the man said, as he closed the door behind them. As Tenzo looked forward, the only other door that was in there was a black door that had kanjis on it written in gold. Welcome to the abyss. Tenzo stopped Naruto. Said Naruto. Who the hell was he? Asked Tenzo. Him? Blue pointed towards the red door. Never seen him before in my life. Then how come? Can we just focus on the mission? Blue said. Let's be professionals about this. But Uchiha snorted. Try not to think about it, she said. As Naruto turned the knob and entered, as Tenzo stepped behind him, with Uchiha coming up and closing the door behind her. The club was packed with sweaty people dancing all around. Red and black lights pulsate all over the area. Ew, said Uchiha, as the stench hit them. As the man was on the ground, his eyes looking blank, like he was on the high of his life. Drugs. She looked towards Naruto, as she saw him step into the beat, as she decided to follow him, so that they wouldn't look suspicious, as he danced his way to a circular table, as they wasn't sure quite exactly where, but she followed behind him. Look over there, said Naruto as they stepped at the table. Tenzo's eyes widened when he saw who the disc jockey was. It was Killer B, as Killer B was scratching the disc on the table as he pumped one of his hands in the ear, bobbing his head to the beat, as he shouted in his headset, "Don't hate on DJ 8, he said. Naruto grabbed Tenzo by his shoulder. If you know what is good for you, save your fighting until we exit Ziki, he said, as he flicked his attention towards the VIP area. There were also Komo ninjas there, a lot of them, as he spotted them and looked at them. Tenzo, I know that you're new to this, but Ziki is a no-fight zone. Hear me? They hate us as much as we hate them. Trust me when I say this, Lord Hirzon would rather leave you to the 3 Yakuza than start a war with them. So don't do anything stupid. Alright, Yamato said back. But what if they attack first? Stay on the defensive. The 3 Yakuza can take care of them. He looked towards Uchiha. That go for you as well, kid. She restrained herself from punching him, as he looked at her with an amused look. Where's your contact anyway? Asked Tenzo, as he masked his words as he spoke. I'm meeting a person in the bathroom. Then what are we doing here? Let's go. No. As he pulled Tenzo back by his shoulder. I am the one that is meeting them. As in me, alone. Don't wait for fate because DJ 8 will never be late, Killer B shouted. God, he should really stop doing that. Rap really isn't his thing, said Naruto. Agreed, said Uchiha. Can you get us something to drink, she asks. Underage drinking? How shame, said Naruto. But guys, will be insips right here. If you want to see the next part of this, do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also stay tuned for the rest of the what is coming your way, which I hope you enjoy each and every one of them. And yeah, I'm off now. See you guys soon. Peace.